We all see it happening. But how in the world is Indiana going through this college football playoff? Even, I mean, at this pace possible? We got to talk about it. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to the Late Shift, Hall of Fame college football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. What's up, folks? Welcome into the show. Old school money. I mean, maybe that is it. Maybe it's about cash. Night shift in session. Run them likes up. Thank you, Bishop. Goated, Indiana is at least proof that Nagy's recruiting method works. Is it? Is that what it is? I'm not sure. How does the video look on this? Does it look all right to you guys? Are we good here? We good. All right, let's Goated. Austin Hill. What up, Austin? Bishop Frank. Who else? Johnny Boys. Ofix. Who else? Corrections. Trojan Fight. Max Swearingen. Who else? Kyle DePuis. Oh, you need to throw a big bag at Isaiah Horton? I wouldn't mind Isaiah Horton. It's not bad. That's not a bad idea. Not bad. Now, let's see who. Austin. Which do we have? Who's the Hurricane fan that's in here? Now, Kyle, I know you kind of like the Canes too, don't you? But you're a Sooner fan first and foremost. But the like button animation is cool. It ain't me, bro. Is it just got the football thing? That's not me doing it. Let's see, Kyle says, yeah, they need to throw that back for sure. All right. I guess, so my question is this. Since they started doing recruiting rankings, and you guys know how I feel about recruiting rankings, but let's just say this. Since they started doing recruiting rankings, nobody under 50% blue chip rating, and I mean nobody, and actually only two teams under 60% blue chip ratio, which is 60% at 4 or 5 star. 50% is the lowest. So you've had Clemson and then Michigan from 2 years ago, right? So since 1999, when Rivals started ranking recruits, nobody that had under a 60% or a 50% blue chip rating has won a national championship. Not one. Indiana, who has now outscored their opponents, 96-23 in their first 2 games of the college football playoff, are right around 10% blue chip rating. They have 8 out of 85 on the roster. You're going by a 105 person roster, then it'd be even less than that. So how can this happen? Are we just going to say that he's that good a coach? He's that much better than everybody else in the country is Curt Cignetti. That with their, you look at Oregon, they have I think they have 40-something 4 or 5-star, maybe it was 60-something 4 or 5-star guys on their roster. We know Alabama's right around 50-plus 5-star guys on their roster, 60-plus 5-star guys, 4 or 5-star guys on their roster. Miami, probably the next lowest. Oh, no. If we're talking about the semifinalists, I think they're number 3. No, they'd be number 2, I guess. Yeah, so it would have been Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss, and then Indiana. I think Miami has in the 40s. How can it be that nobody expects Indiana to even get messed with in this game? How do they go and beat the brakes off of Oregon worse than they went and beat the shit out of Alabama a week ago? With 8 to 10% blue chip players on the roster. Is Cignetti that much better? I ask you. Oh, we're going to make it easy here. Easy answer, says Max Square. Cignetti just has the best quarterback this year. We're reducing it to that, huh? Okay. Goated? Nagy's ideal roster. What's Neelio 100% right on? Let's see. Cignetti also has had the fortune of bringing in so many of his former James Madison players in his first season to help lay a very good foundation. He has a direction, and it's proven. Okay, fine. It's proven at the lower level, right? They were proven at the FCS level. They move up. They didn't get to go to it. They didn't get to go to a bowl game that year that they moved up. Remember, they were throwing a shit fit about it, even though they won the Sun Belt right away. So what you're telling me is that none of that shit matters anymore. Now, I'm gonna agree with part of what you're saying, Neelio. I have to agree with part of it because these guys have played a lot of fucking football. If you look at their average age on this football team, you're looking at an average age of 23. I think I heard somewhere that the average age of the Kansas City Chiefs is 25. Okay. They're older, kind of the similar, but listen, we've been seeing that shit forever at BYU. Why does the BYU do this to everybody? Why not? Something's not right. Yeah, I can't say you're mad at Oregon getting blown out. I get it. Makes sense. All right. Let me go to the bottom, see what your answer is. Y'all just saying hello. Now, see, we're not going to do all that. And look, this revisionist history stuff is what's wrong with a lot of folks. You can't just say Oregon didn't belong in the playoff. They had one loss to this team. Now, did they have the toughest schedule? No, we already know that the Big Ten doesn't do that tough schedule shit. Neither did Indiana. And if Oregon didn't belong, then Texas Tech didn't belong, then, we can do this all fucking day. And if Alabama doesn't belong, then Oklahoma doesn't belong, and Georgia doesn't belong because they beat them earlier this year. We're not doing all that. Not doing all that. You cannot go back on look, guys, you cannot go back on what everybody did during the regular season and how they qualified for the playoff and erase the fact that they qualified for the playoff because they get their asses kicked when they get there. We cannot do that. We're not going to do that here. You can have listen, you can have whatever damn opinion you want to have, but get ready to get called out for it here. And you better have something more than that. If Oregon doesn't belong, then tell me why they don't belong. Not just because they got their ass kicked by the best team in the country right now. Why? Goated says Sig has obviously done a fantastic job of identifying somewhat hidden talent and developing it. Is that not Nagy's ideal approach? Okay, cool. I agree with that. Yeah, I think it is I think it's everybody's approach is to find diamonds in the rough. Nagy's calling it out and doing it on a larger scale because he has a full-on scouting department and all that other shit, right? So we know that that's the way that the direction in which Oklahoma is moving. Okay? But in the end, there's more to it. I mean, guys, it doesn't answer my question. How does this many guys, we're talking all but like 90% not blue chip talent, run through this playoff field like shit through a tin horn? How? Ooh. Most of the BYU players do have a 2-year missions where they take a break from football or anything athletic for 2 years. No, because they're out on they don't have time to play football because they're overseas doing what they're supposed to, doing the mission for the church. Right? So they come back and they are grown men. We talk about it all the time, and I think it does definitely help them. And I would tell you that there's something to that when it comes to Indiana. Again, their average age is 23 years old. Okay, so tell me how they didn't belong. Tell me don't just say who did Oregon beat. Don't answer questions with questions, Benji. I'll boot you out. Answer questions, answer the question. Tech couldn't even score a point versus that Oregon team. Right. So if we're going to sit here and talk about that Oregon didn't belong, but they beat up on the team that was ranked in the top 4 and held them scoreless at 23-0, hell, they had opportunities to turn that into the same kind of game as what we just saw with Indiana and them. That's why I say don't go back and don't do that shit where we go back and start saying this team didn't belong and this team didn't belong and this team didn't belong and this team didn't belong because once they got to the playoff, they didn't win. No, I think he's just got old guys that have stuck together. Okay, that can't be all of it. Get the fuck out of here, Texas. You guys, again, you don't want to answer the questions. The whole thing the only reason I came in here. Yeah. So could you make the point for week scheduling, considering the last 3 representatives from the Big Ten all played 3 cupcakes in the non-conference? Sure, Indiana gets the heat, but Ohio State and Michigan. Okay, well, sure. I mean, look, what do you mean make a point? So could you make the point for week scheduling? Okay, now don't forget those schedules were made before they added in this strength of schedule analytic that they're using as part of the selection process, an extra one at that. So they've made it more important. Strength of schedule not only got more important, but then they added that strength of record part of it as well, which is why the SEC ended up getting 5 teams in. But then you go back and you want to say, well, the SEC, nobody's in the championship game, even though they had 5 teams in. Well, 4 of those 5 teams played against another SEC team, right? So you had 2 teams that got knocked out by another SEC program. Do I think that anybody else, aside from maybe Ole Miss, beats Georgia? I don't think so. Possibly Indiana. But aside from that, I think it's tough. I think that, again, we're going to, and maybe this is what this is going to spin the conversation into, but automatically, I don't know how many of you guys have read my first 2 columns, and I haven't gotten through to the third one yet. I'm finishing it up this evening. I've been kind of working on that and just kind of decompressing a little bit. But what I'm getting sick of watching on Twitter is all this, again, revisionist history. We want to go back and act like the regular season didn't happen. In my opinion, you have to look at look, this is what's really good about this new playoff system. And this is why I think you should go ahead and go to 16. And then I want it capped at some point. But I like the idea of go to 16, get some more teams in it, seeing as how Miami is in this championship game, and they were all but left out. If it hadn't been for BYU getting dropped back behind them, and now you have Miami getting matched up against Notre Dame and whoever belongs, Miami's not in because they weren't going to compare those two, which, again, that was stupid. But they weren't going to, and Notre Dame would have been in there. End of story, plain and simple. Right? If they were going by what they usually say, which is they've done this for everybody but the Big 12, where if you make your conference championship game, you shouldn't be punished. The Big 12's been punished 2 years in a row for that. They're the only Power 4 conference that has. Now, you could say, well, but BYU already wasn't in. Okay, that's true. Was that fair? Probably not. At 11-1, if you're not in the playoff as one of the top 12 teams, how are you ever going to get in the playoff if you're a Big 12 team, aside from winning your conference title game? This is where the Big 12 would be better. I mean, it's a good question to ask is, okay, had they not had a second time of getting the shit beat out of them like they did against Tech, right? Let's say they don't get beat up like that, but they just had the one loss. They beat everybody else in that conference, and pretty handily for that matter. How do you leave BYU out if they don't have a conference championship game? Now, they wouldn't have been conference champion, but they already would have had a loss. Do you leave them out then? I don't know. Again, I don't love the way that they select teams for the CFP. What I don't want to do is go back and just sit here and say that because somebody, after they get in, they have a bad day or they run up against a buzzsaw like we've seen Alabama Oregon for that matter. Both of those teams already won a game in the college football playoff, and now you're going to tell me that neither one of them deserved to be in? The fuck are we talking about? We can't do that. You can't do it. Let's see. Okay, Indiana has that secret sauce, says Satterfield. Okay. See, Dave says, did you know that Tyson playing is close? Oh. Huh? What are you talking about? The chicken plant? Shut up. So he's doing blood sacrifices is what you're telling me. Okay. Hey, listen. I kind of made a joke about this with the High Top guys. Shout out to the High Top guys. They brought this up earlier on their show. Cody, the professor, and, of course, Shelton, the host of High Top Sports. I guess Bud, what's his name from the, what is it? Which one is that CBS podcast? I don't know. Anyway, the one with Cannell and Is it Bud Davis? Bud Davis, I think, is who it is, right? He's the one that does the blue chip. And they're asking, is there cheating going on? Is there some sort of cheating happening? Shelton asked the question. Of course, the professor throws a shit fit about it, which is wild because he hasn't really been that pro-Indiana coming into all this. But the question gets asked, and I'm like, okay, well, so are they, I mean, maybe they're stealing signs. I mean, hell, if we're talking about blood sacrifices or whatever, hell, maybe they have a time machine and they can go back 1 minute and know exactly what the play is going to be. Maybe they can go back one play and know. I don't know. Maybe they have AI that is so far advanced to everybody else that they know exactly what's coming. I mean, is Dan Lanning the brightest dude in the world? I don't know. I tend to think that, I've been a Will Stein fan for a while as far as offense is concerned, but they seem to know what the fuck they were doing on every play. Same goes for Alabama. I mean, you start talking about guys like, look, Kalen DeBoer was the toast du jour before he got the job at Bama. Now he's considered not as good because he's not winning with Saban's guys. But it doesn't change the fact that people look at him as an offensive genius. And all of a sudden, these offensive geniuses are looking like garbage. Could there be some kind of cheating going on? Because I got to tell you, again, we've got a full-on, 27 years of data that says nobody under 50%, and only 25 of those 27 national champions had over 60% blue chip guys, and we're under 10% with Indiana. How can this be? How can this be? You're going to sit it out? That's fucking funny. Jen. Whatever do you mean? Why would you sit this one out? That's some funny ass shit. That's hilarious. Thank you. Looks to me as if players brought into Bloomington were evaluated very well, and those players brought into Sig's direction immediately. But they bought into his direction. The only thing I can honestly think of with their success. Okay? I guess. Listen, that's the only thing you can. So if it's not that, okay, let's say it's not that. And by the way, I'm not really making an accusation. I'm not saying anything. I think they were fantastic. I've watched them play these last two games very, very closely because of the fact, and I watched them earlier in the year against Oregon as well. They weren't as dominant, right? Of course, they were on the road at Autzen. I saw them against Illinois. They beat the shit out of them. I didn't think much of Illinois to start with. I wasn't sure what to think of Ohio State. I thought they were okay. I think that they were young. And so it wasn't as big a deal, right? Now, do I think that they still aren't going to be right in the mix of it every year? Of course not. I think Ohio State does what they do year after year after year, right? Well, but here's the thing. Coming into last night's game, after what we saw on Thursday night with the way that Miami bullied their way into the title game. Now, granted, Ole Miss all but one. They just ran out of time. Me and Bishop were talking about this last night. They just ran out of time. Simple. Nothing else. They just ran out of time. So, is there any way that I think that Miami wins on Monday? No. They played relatively clean football the other night, still had a couple of mistakes here and there. Like I said this to Bishop Frank last night. If you give them a gift, if you give Indiana a gift, they are going to beat you over the fucking head with it. They're going to bludgeon you to death with it. Give them a gift. Hand them a gift. They're going to bludgeon you to death with it. I mean, again, I think they're fantastically coached. No two ways around it. I think that but man, it's just, they're not doing anything that reinvents the wheel. I've seen the offense before. Okay, cool. It's not that big a deal. I've seen quarterbacks make back shoulder throws before. That's nothing new. I've seen offensive lines that do a great job. That's nothing new. Defensive lines that do a good job. Offensive lines that open holes for their backs. Backs that don't waste a lot of room and run through the hole. They do all of this well, by the way. Now, I don't know how often you see that they do all of it with such precision, such effectiveness, such efficiency. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. Maybe they do. Maybe they did have a time machine. Maybe they got a Michigan AI. Maybe they got a machine. They took Michigan and Connor Stallions and those guys, took what they did, stuck it into an AI machine, and they've got you by the second quarter, and you're fucked. Maybe that's it. Grasping at straws here. I've never seen anything like it, is the point. Never seen anything like it. Are we still arguing about that? Are you shitting me? Canal equals overly snarky. I can't stand that dude. Jen. Talking shit. Oh, I love it. Not gonna lie. I think they're just peaking at the right time, and that at the same time, just getting a very lucky draw. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. A lucky draw, you run into something at the end. And I'm going to tell you, I think out of the rest of the team, let's just talk about, even go back to the quarterfinals, right? Out of the quarterfinals, I think there's just one team that I didn't think could win it. And it was Tech, right? Just Tech. That's it. That was the only team that I would sit here and tell you, they ain't winning shit. But Baron Morton, not good enough. Even if I thought their defense was deep enough, which I didn't, I knew that Baron Morton, nor their receiving core, was probably enough to win the whole thing. You were going to have to do more than that. Plus, as we saw, they weren't really able to run the football without Baron Morton being better than he was. And maybe they weren't going to be able to run the football with them. Maybe that's why Baron Morton wasn't good, because they couldn't run the football. I don't know. In the end, I just didn't. That was the only team. The rest of them, out of the quarterfinals, that's 8. I felt like 7 could win. You know, I felt like 7 could win. I felt like Ohio State could win. I felt like Georgia obviously was my pick to win. You know, Indiana, obviously, I felt like Alabama with their roster, and if they got hot, they could win. They had a good enough defense. Their running game, maybe they don't win it all. And I don't know. I felt like they could get there. I didn't think that they beat whoever comes out of the other side. But we know that I picked them to beat Indiana. You know, we know that. Tech, I did not believe in. Oregon, I did. But if you go back and you watch a lot of Oregon this year, and again, I'm not a huge Dan Lanning guy. You go back and watch watch his team. Dante Moore's been fantastic all year. He wasn't great against Indiana the first time. They scored 20. Scored 20 again this time, but I mean, shit. It was over midway through the second quarter. I don't even know if you got to the midway point of the second quarter and there was a chance. But it was almost like they knew exactly what was coming before it came. And I'm not talking about being good at reading, you know, the form. You're a film junkie, blah 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 blah. It wasn't that. They knew what was coming. Like they're reading or listening to their comms. Yeah. They play perfectly. They do their jobs. Okay. Even the best teams, when's the last time you saw the best teams, even in history, that played perfect football? I don't know. I don't know. Something's up. Yeah, listen, I'm not a Miami guy either because Oklahoma fans don't love Miami. I got to tell you, fuck the Big Ten. But I think that the Big Ten's about to win 3 straight, and then it's going to turn into even more of this ridiculous talk about how it's the dominant conference in the country when we know that that's not the case. And I don't want to hear about bowl season either. He put them in bad situations? Yeah, listen, the pick six on the first play, certainly not ideal, right? Not ideal. He immediately goes down the field, puts points on the board, though, right after that. The next turnover that he had was not, I think you could somewhat blame it on him, I guess, but that running back knocked it out of his hands. Now, should he have made sure that the guy has passed him and all that and not knocked it into, and yeah, of course. But again, we're talking about a team that if you are not perfect, you lose. So if that's what we're saying, we're about to see Carson Beck look really bad next Monday. We know that Miami's not perfect. Miami's nasty. Hey man, they play a physical brand of football in the trenches. They run the ball. You know, Carson Beck looked pretty damn good, Dave. I know. I mean, I loved your comment the other night. Here comes, we're going to get some more. But Carson, bro, I mean, he was efficient. That's the other thing. You look at Mendoza, he's got 5 incompletions in 2 games. 5. 6 touchdown passes. He was at 6 the last I looked. I don't know how many of those points did they score with the other offense in once he came out. Because I left to go get food and was kind of half-ass watching it after that. It was ridiculous. Here's another thing. Okay, whoa. Kevin Alexander. This may be. Hold on a minute. If I had to name a team out of the Big Ten for a genius, it would have taken me 3 guesses to get Indiana. Yeah. For like genius head coaching, I would agree with that. I hate having to root for Miami in the last game. Yeah, it sucks. Me too. But I am. Maybe part of the reason why BV should have brought some of his players into OU the first year. I don't know, but loyalty is not a good explanation. They proved that word doesn't matter. BV still being loyal. I think BV is the one that sent, if you're talking about Marcus Strong, BV sent him towards Dabo. Because they have money to give. Okay. It's possible. Maybe they have microwave. Microwave it's old technology, so that's probably not it. But when I was in the military, if you had microwave, you could hear everything. I can talk about whatever I want to, Kinfolk J. I can talk about whatever I want to. This is my show. You don't have to like it. Don't watch it. Relax if you're not guilty. Thank you. And I'm not the one that brought it up anyway. Bud brought it up. Well, okay. I would give you that too. I think that, yeah, we haven't seen. Well, we did a little bit. And the thing about the Oregon defensive front is pretty damn good too. I think part of it was the fact that they got themselves into a kind of a bad situation from the start, but they did tie it up, right? But the next time you really saw them get a ton of pressure on Mendoza, they had him fumble it, but the ball bounced right back into his arms. That's fortunate, right? That's fortunate. But even had they taken over right there, I mean, they were in scoring position at that moment. So even had they taken over, do they score there? I don't know. Maybe. But they have a ways to go to do it. But you never were able to like flip that momentum. So does Miami have a better opportunity to get pressure on them? Sure. It's why I felt like Oklahoma would have beaten them. I mean, I said earlier that either Oklahoma or Alabama was going to beat them. Now, Bama didn't get as much pressure on the quarterback as Oklahoma did. Oklahoma's coming to get your ass. I look at Miami as like the next best thing to that when it comes to pressure on quarterbacks. They had more TFLs, they had more sacks than anybody else. So, yeah, aside from like Indiana too. But something is crazy. And all I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that there's, I mean, just so you understand, you came in late, obviously. Kinfolk J. You came in late. You haven't heard the whole conversation. I'm not accusing Indiana of cheating. I'm asking what the hell's going on? How is this happening? Because again, nobody in the history of rankings for these rosters has had less than 50%. And only two of those programs that won natties were at 50% in the 50 percentile of blue chip players. Indiana's at like 9%. They have 7, 8 players. I've heard both 7 and 8. We know that Mendoza's not a blue chip guy. He was a 2-star. He was a 2-star. Can he play? Hell yeah, he can play. Were they wrong about him? Yes. Yes, quite. Even if you add him and say he should have been a blue chip guy, that's only 9 dudes. Name another guy that was ranked low that should have been ranked higher. For sure and without a doubt in your mind. I got a hard time. I don't know. So it's hard to sit here and say that something's not amiss because you know who else? If you're looking at you can look at these roster rankings, and somebody had this on Twitter earlier. They're in the neighborhood of Tulane and Hawaii and like Kansas in their roster talent. So you're going to tell me that Cignetti is that significantly better as a coach than is Lance Leipold or John Summerall? who's been considered one of the best up-and-coming coaches for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, that's that much better. So we're saying that if he goes to Kansas instead of Indiana, then Kansas is playing for a national championship next week on Monday. Neilio, what do you think about that? Tulane, they're not getting beat by 5 touchdowns by Ole Miss in the first game that they played, and certainly not in the CFP. If he's there, it's tough. It's tough. That's and on top of that, again, we're talking about now. You guys know that I'm not a Dan Lanning guy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think Dan Lanning is one of the best coaches in the country, because I don't. I've watched him struggle with the better coaches in the teams that have similar talent than him, and now even teams that don't. These big games are struggles. I mean, he struggled against Whittingham. I think he beat Whittingham 1 in like 4 chances, 1 out of 4 times that he played him. Right? He lost a game. I think they were up 30 plus, at least 20 something. They were up on Oregon State at home in the second half and lost. Late in the third quarter and lost. The first time they went to Mercedes-Benz Dome, they played Georgia and they lost 49-3. They beat Ohio State at home last year in the regular season. Okay, that's cool and all. But then you got the shit kicked out of you in the Rose Bowl. Not quite as cool. Yep, you won the Big Ten championship. You didn't have to play Ohio State, though. Thanks to Michigan. Just saying. Just saying. Landing stunts on Dion. Oh, that's cool and all. That's cool and all. What up, Pit Snipe Husker? Haven't had more than 3 4-star kid on any of his rosters. That's true. More. Oh, you're talking about Bill Snyder. He didn't win a national championship either, bro. And he didn't do it when, before there was a playoff. You might have a championship game, but he never even played for one. Now, he was good. Bill Snyder was the dude. I can't say that he was a national championship coach, because he wasn't. He didn't do it. It has been a crazy playoff, yes. So we aren't going to get into Oregon behind the scenes with Lanning locker room talk. Tragic. No, let's bring it up. What are you talking about? What are we talking about? Give me something that you're saying. No, you're not the number 1 class in the country right now, Cowpoke. That's a lie. No, you're not. And I got to tell you, good for Oklahoma State getting a new coach and getting the quarterback and the running back. I don't think that the right move was to go get the entirety of that UNT program that couldn't beat Tulane in the conference championship and got the shit kicked out of it against San Diego State. There's a reason why most of those dudes were at North Texas. Just saying. I do like Eric Morris. I think it's a good move for the most part. But don't come in here with that OSU shit and think you're going to get away with it. Man, Manzano, yesterday I said, yeah. The more I think about it, I think they're going to make a mistake. And if they do, they're going to get bludgeoned to death for it. And it's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Because I don't look at this roster, I don't look at the guys on the field and say, wow, that guy is just that guy. There's not a Jeremiah Smith on that team. Right? There's not there. I mean, even their Heisman quarterback. Look, I think Fernando's good. I don't think he's a number one pick. I don't. I know he's going to be the number one pick. I don't think that that's who he is. Guess what? I've seen back shoulder throws before. I've seen them. I think that they are very, very efficient and they are very well coached. And I still don't understand how this is happening. And they're bludgeoning the shit out of everybody. If you hand them a gift, they're going to beat you to death with it. Do I think that Miami should be able to win? Absolutely. Do I think they're gonna? I don't. And you're at home, and I still think no. The Oklahoma State mean green. Yeah, I know. I know, bro. I know. What up, Liberty Bibbity? Versus Colorado, it was rooted in substance. Today we talk with our pads. They're fighting for clicks. We are fighting for a win kind of statements. My point was we don't see those videos with Oregon's loss. Well, of course not. It didn't work. Whatever his behind the scenes shit was, it didn't work. I don't doubt that Dan Lanning is really good at that part, right? I think that I was watching a podcast with, which one was it? The OG podcast where it had Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller, and they had Tim Hardaway. I love Tim Hardaway. The UTEP two-step. But they were talking about Pat Riley, that dude could freaking make you want to run through a wall. We've heard Brent Venables a lot of times do the same kind of things. I don't have any doubt in my mind that Sarkisian does shit like that. You know that Saban has. You know? I remember when Jim Harbaugh was the 49ers head coach, and you heard about the shit that he would say in the locker room. These guys, I mean, they get that perfected before they get to that point. We've heard, I mean, Kirby Smart, holy shit. Killer, right? They know what they're doing. And look, Dan Lanning was with Kirby and Saban, both. Cristobal, same thing. You know, they know what they're doing when it comes to that stuff. I like Carson, but he limits what we can do. Scheme-wise, I don't know that he's really limiting there. Okay. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you that I think Sam may be better than Carson. I don't even think that that's necessarily unfactual. It probably is factual. Right? Guys, really, we don't have... So because I've asked the question that others have asked, I can't get any likes on this channel? Come on, fellas. 13 likes out of 180 people that have been in here. We currently have 48 currently in here. Huh. Dang. Hit the like button. I'm going to take a quick break, use the restroom. I'll be right back. Are you tired of your game day gear looking like it's stuck in the offseason? Well, step up your fandom with Hall of Fame College Football's official Fanatics partner store. Whether you're a diehard Oklahoma Sooners fan like myself, bleeding Crimson and Cream, or you rep another one of the SEC's heavy hitters, Fanatics has you covered. Shop thousands of officially licensed hats, jerseys, sideline polos, and exclusive championship merch from the entire Power 4 and Group of 6 too. All shipped directly to your doorstep and fast. Want to gear up like your favorite coaches and players? Are you looking for that perfect tailgate tee or statement piece for your man cave? Fanatics is your one-stop shop for authentic college football gear from everybody that plays the game. So do yourself and your team a favor. Click our link in the description or simply log on to hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. And you can shop everything that you want for the best prices of the day right on our Fanatics partner page. Hey, Jason Watkins here with Hall of Fame College Football. And if you are ready to back your favorite team, the Sooners, and fade that Texas hype train every Saturday this fall, there's only one place to do it: MyBookie. Right now, you can double your first deposit up to $1,000 when you sign up at hofmedia.us/mybookie1000. That's hofmedia.us/mybookie1000. Yep, 100% deposit bonus, and it takes less than 5 minutes to get started. Whether you're betting college football, rolling the dice in the online casino, or dropping a 10-leg parlay on SEC Chaos, MyBookie has everything you need. Bet anytime, anywhere, on the go, at the tailgate, or yelling at the refs from your couch. Just don't talk trash. Put your money where your mouth is. Hit that link, hofmedia.us/mybookie1000, and get your deposit bonus today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie and Hall of Fame College Football. All right, we're back. We better on the likes. Shit, barely. All right, I guess we're only going to do another 15 minutes or so. If we, out of that 45, we can at least get up to 30. In the next 15 minutes, I'm done. All right. Y'all got to give me some love, man. Got to give me some love here. All right. Let's see. What is Neilio saying he doesn't think happens? Let's go to Neilio here. Okay, well, you don't. That's true. I'm not in my feels about anything. I'm actually not in my feels about anything there, folks. His sideline out. No. Bro, Mendoza's good. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm telling you, I don't think that he's that. I don't think that he's anything better than a lot of. I don't think he's better than Dante Moore at a lot of stuff. I don't think he's better than Trinidad Chambliss. He's definitely better than John Mateer. He's definitely better than John Mateer. Oklahoma State Mean Green, yeah, for sure, right? And you're right, Dave. They're not one-hit wonders. They were in the playoff last year. They only had one loss to Ohio State. Both of their losses were pretty ugly. But what they did was they got better at the things that look, you don't see them making those mistakes. You don't see them making mistakes. It's almost as if they know what's coming. He makes better choices than them, though. Okay, cool. Agreed. I'll give you that. That's pretty wild to me. Because I've seen a bunch that have said that he's the number 3 quarterback taken, too. Hey, Trojan Fight. Appreciate it, man. Went from hating my ass. He's been hooking me up last few times. Can't get to 30 likes But how's this for another hour? $100 costs. It's an hour. It's $100 for another hour, and not from you. Don't do that. We got to get to that 30 likes. It's doable. We're only 7 away at this point, and there's 48 people in here. So to ask for 37. I mean, look, we're talking about 18, 25. You got to get 7 out of 25 to say like to add time. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. All right. He's able to get through the reads. Correct. No, I get it. I'm not even saying that he's bad. Fellas. I'm not saying he's bad. Okay, wait. Go back to that. Anthony said, yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. You don't see him making mistakes either, though. That's the thing is, I mean, he didn't throw a bunch of interceptions. Look, even scrambling, he's on the money with his throws. Right? I mean, we're not. Yeah, they're old and disciplined. What up, Dwayne? Good to see you. Agreed. Oh, maybe. You're talking about Tua. Yeah. Look, Patrick Mahomes isn't huge. He's not huge. You know? A lot of these guys aren't monsters. They're just not. You don't have to be a monster in the league. Baker Mayfield's not huge. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Kyler Murray, not huge. He hasn't been great lately. I'll give you that. But it doesn't have anything to do with his size. I think it's because the Cardinals suck. Can't believe I live in a world where Indiana is good and my team's coach was texting IG models at halftime. Hey, man, we've let you get away with that Sharon Moore shit for too long. Knock that shit off. He's an Oklahoma guy. Kinda. Ass. Oh, man. 6'3"? Is that right? I don't think he's 6'3". He might be 6'1", 6'2". Could be wrong. Still at 27 likes. 3 minutes to go. You got 20 people that for three likes. 20 people for 3 likes. That's what I said. He's 6'1". Met him at a function, and we're the same height. Okay. How is he in person, Neilio? How do you like him? What'd you think of him? Most of the players in the NFL were 3 stars in high school. Look it up. That's not that surprising. You know why that's not that surprising? Because there's a lot more 3 stars than there are 4 and 5 stars. 4 stars are like up to what? The top 350 players? 5 stars are like 35 at the most, 35. I mean, between the multiple sites, you could say maybe up to 50. Maybe up to 50 of them. 3-star goes from like 350, 300, 350 to like almost 1,000. It's more, quite a few more. Correct. Yep. And the other thing is like people will be like, there's more bust 5 stars than there are bust 3 stars. But well, they don't consider 3 stars busts, right? First off, number two, it's harder to get, and when you look at 5 stars, here's the other part of it. When you look at 5 stars, they're generally quarterbacks. And if you're a 5-star quarterback, you're going to get more opportunities. Even if you didn't show it in college that you were worthy of that 5-star, they still at the next level. I mean, we heard talk about John Mateer being one of the top 3 to 5 quarterbacks taken in this draft, even after the season that he had, if he was to go into this draft. That is fucking crazy talk. But here we are. They will give you more opportunities as a 5-star because of your measurables or whatever it was, right? Now, Mateer was a 2-star. Became a 3-star late once he got the offer to go to Washington State. Very cool, easy to talk to. My twin daughters met him at the same function during his rookie season here. Okay, cool. I hadn't really heard bad things about him. I was just wondering because you don't really hear much. And then you see his dumbass brother. And so you're like, what the hell? Ruben Bain. Miami defense event is projected to be in the top 10. Who's a 3-star most of the cycle. He was in high school because people didn't trust the length of his arms. He was a 3-star in high school. Oh. Okay. That dude, he plays with a different gear, right? The dude plays with a different gear, and he's super talented. But wingspan matters at defensive end. Wingspan matters. When you start, that's when you start talking about 4 and 5-star guys, what's gonna like change you from a 4 to a 5, right? You got to think about David Stone versus Jaden Jackson. Now, Jaden Jackson is a monster, right? And he does everything well. Like he was more polished coming into college than was Stoney. But when you look at Stoney's size, his speed, his arm strength, his wingspan, all that shit, he wasn't as heavy, but they knew that they were going to be able to stack that on, and his twitch and all that other shit. That's where he was a 5-star, and Jaden Jackson didn't even become a 4-star guy until he was already going to be at Oklahoma. He was a 3-star guy, well down the list, like in the late 400s rankings. So a lot of times, and again, and I'll say this too, a lot of it is just they just don't get looked at. And that's where when you guys that are talking about Jim Nagy, he has a scouting department that they are scouring film from everywhere they can find it. They want to look at everybody and get a clean evaluation on the film, then go look at them and find out what are they really. If you look at a guy like Kristen Moore from Alabama, from Selma, Alabama, I think he was a 2-star. And if that, Bama, Auburn, South Alabama, there's multiple schools in that state that really weren't paying attention to the guy. And he was dominating. Fucking dominating. As an edge guy, he wasn't gonna probably translate to an edge guy in college. What did Nagy tell him? We got to get you playing Mike linebacker. His coaches let him do it. They helped him throughout the year. They loved it at Oklahoma that nobody was on him. They didn't even give him an offer until late because they wanted him to continue being under the radar. That's smart on their part. But a lot of guys, again, he didn't go to a ton of camps. But Alabama knew about him. They weren't on him that hard. They let him get away. He's going to be a stud. Watch and see. Dwight Freeney, Hall of Famer, Indianapolis Colts, same height and same arm length issues, and look at what happened. How dumb is that, perception-wise, though? I mean, look at Warren Sapp, bro. Look at Warren Sapp. He was a fucking tight end when he got to Miami that nobody thought about. Have you heard Coach O talking about him? Coach O's been on the podcast freaking trail, man. Talking about Warren Sapp. He talks about a lot of guys. This is awesome. What a great guest. I would love. What a gold mine to have a guy like that on your show. Yeah. Yeah, and Mahomes he wasn't under the radar. He was I don't know if he was a 5-star. He was definitely a blue chipper though. He was a blue chip guy. And Cliffy sold out to get him to Tech. I think a lot of the reasons that he wasn't higher recruited to like Texas and other places like that was because of his baseball background. And guys like Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter and them being like, bro, no, you need to play baseball. You don't need to play football. You need to play baseball. His dad was pitched for the Yankees and shit. You know, they just figured he was on his way to baseball. You know? LSU by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, maybe more. If they weren't coached so well, it wouldn't even be a game. Yeah. Yeah. He did. Yeah, I think so too. I think that he's headed in the right direction. That doesn't mean that people aren't kicking and screaming. All right, guys, we still did not hit that 30th like, and we've been going for actually longer than I told you. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. If I don't get that 30th like, we're out. T-minus 30 seconds. Uh-huh. Yep. Okay. Well, that's cool. He should know what to look for. 15 seconds. They have no business beating any of these teams, correct? Okay, we got it. Was that so hard? Now we're going to go 10 more minutes to get to 35. This rating star stuff is whack. Listen, you know I feel that way. Yeah, we're at 30. We're not 31. The rating star stuff is whack. Just look at Darren Sproles, my guy. He wasn't looked at by. Hey, listen, I get it. Anyone outside of, yeah, out of Olaf North High School, 20 years later, he was the 6th most yards gained in NFL history. Yeah, you're right. Darren Sproles is a pain in the ass at K-State. Holy fuck, bro. I hated that guy. Hated him. Loved him as a player. Hated him because they had to deal with him at Oklahoma. Yeah, I've got it at 31, guys. We're good. $32 now. All right. Let's see. We've been going for about an hour anyway. So we get to 35. I'll stay for an hour and I'll make it an hour and a half. So we'll go there. All right. Anyway. Yeah, they had no. Listen, I'm with you. I'm with you. I still don't think that they're beating that LSU team. I don't think that they're beating Nebraska from 1995 either, or Miami from 2001. And I don't know that they beat Oklahoma in 2000. That 95 Nebraska team, I don't even know if I think LSU beats them. Or Miami in 01, I think it's Nebraska. They were stupid good. Stupid good. But I mean, that's all. it's all subjective to what you think. Baker was a 2-star, low 3-star by most. He walked on because he didn't want to go to Houston or like Rice or somewhere like that. He could have gone to Rice. I think Houston was one of the ones that wanted him to come there. He had some places that he could have gotten a scholarship. He wanted a Power 4 scholarship, a Big 12 scholarship. Texas didn't want him. Oklahoma didn't. And really, Texas Tech, they were willing to take a flyer on him, but just for that year until Mahomes got there. And Cliff, Cliff was a dick. Total ass to him. Didn't want to give him a scholarship because he didn't want him trying to hang around and him have to have some kind of a quarterback controversy when he didn't want to play anybody but Pat Mahomes. He could have given Bake another year. He could have given him a scholarship, let him have another year, and then had him on the roster because you were going to need a year with Mahomes. Let him have a year. You don't need to start him as a true freshman. It was such a chump thing for Cliff Kingsbury to do that. He walks on, starts game 1 as a true freshman. He wins his first 6 games, gets hurt, comes back later in the year, wins that 7th game. He didn't have a win that year that Baker didn't play in. And again, Cliff Kingsbury, bro, you talk about failing up. What a fucking deal. And they're talking about him going and being the head coach at Tampa if they fire Bowles. Terrible idea. Yeah. You ought to live up my way around Kansas City. The conversations from ex-Nebraska footballers who live up here about those Osborne squads is just wacko. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Just you think about those teams that he had. Fuck, dude. Those teams would. Think about that 95 team. Just, bro. The fact that Tommy Frazier doesn't get any love for greatest quarterback, college football quarterback, I'm not going to say. And when you do that, I hate it when people start bringing in what they did at the next level on whether they're a good enough college quarterback or not. Tim Tebow has to be considered one of the greatest college quarterbacks in history. Vince Young, greatest college quarterbacks in history. Dude, Tommy was better than both of them. Yes, he threw it worse than both of them. He was better than both those dudes. Unstoppable. Run the ball is the lesson that should be learned from this. I agree with you. No shit. Thank you for that one. Come on, give me that one more like, folks. Come on, one more. Let's go. Jimmy, that's not necessarily true, brother. They beat them some. They didn't always beat them, but they beat them some. Sam Bradford was a 3-star. Yeah. So was Trent. So was Trent. So was shit. What's his name? That was Lane. What's his name? The quarterback that became a lineman, and he's still in the fucking NFL with the Eagles. One of the best right tackles in the game. It's unbelievable. But when the Silverback was a damn 3-star, come on, bro. Shit. Wasn't Orlando Brown a 3-star as well? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dave's here. They were JUCO players. Well, look, that's why Osborne was smart. He knew that it was going to be tough to recruit the top guys out of high school there, right? He could get some once they got, I mean, they as good as they were because of how great the program was, he could do some, but it's tough when you're recruiting the Midwest and you're having to recruit against Michigan and Ohio State, Notre Dame. You know, that's a tough ask. It's why they're not doing well now. It's why they're not doing well now. Because when they were in the Big 12 and the Big 8, they were able to, go down into Texas and get kids out of that pipeline because they were going to be in Texas a lot. Their parents could come watch them play. That mattered. Once they went to the Big 10, it exposed that flaw. It was a stupid, stupid thing to do, but a lot of it had to do with Texas too. So, yeah, Lane Johnson, of course. Brown was a 3-star. Jamel Holloway, best option about ever. Best option quarterback ever. Okay. I listen, Jamel's the reason that when I started sitting and watching the Sooners with my dad was because of Jamel Holloway in 85. No doubt about it. The boss, Jamel. But I don't know that he's better than, that's tough, man. I don't know if he's better than Tommy Frazier. He's a bad dude. He was a bad dude, though. That's dirty. And you think about, but there's some really, really good JUCOs in that area too. You got to think about Mississippi JUCOs. They're known for, they've got fucking 100 of them, right? How many do they have in Kansas, Neilio? Isn't it like 10 that are like top level JUCO programs and that are like Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, whatever? They're all over the place up there. And they're championship level JUCO programs too. Mm-hmm. Well, they come in ready to rock and roll. You know what I mean? They come in ready to rock and roll. And those Prop 48 kids, there's a lot of those Prop 48 kids that couldn't get in. You had to stash them. But once they go and get that associate's degree, none of that shit matters. And they wanted, shit, man. A lot of those guys were in places like, up in Kansas at Independence or shit. There's a shit ton of them, but they get stashed over there because they know that they're going to find a way to get them through. They're going to be in a college weight program. They're going to be playing college football and getting used to that lifestyle. And then you can bring them in ready to go and get them in there ready to go. 85 team was your favorite? Yeah. Dude, I was a little kid, man. I was a little kid. Damn, see, look at that. We are up to almost 40 and we've got 42 people in here. That's dope. Love it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. In the current JUCO landscape, there are only a few now who produce legit Division I guys. That's true. Used to be 9 or 10. And there are, 18 JUCOs in this state? Oh, that's insanity. Oh, that's like California, though, too. If you look at the California JUCOs and like Jason Brown talks about that. He's a crazy fucker, but he's a JUCO coach. But you look at those JUCOs up there. I knew a guy, Deshaun Sanders, that played at Tech. He was at Hobbs whenever I was first there with Coach Roybal. He played for Coach Roybal. And he went to San Francisco Community College. They have more. It was the largest enrollment in the state of California, period, in the story. It was a community college, though. And a lot of them were like that. They got bigger enrollments than UCLA and USC and shit like that. Even San Diego State, places like that aren't as hard to get into. But now it doesn't. Well, and you say that, and for right now, that's the case, right? That's the case for now. But the fact that a guy like Diego Pavia can go to New Mexico Military Institute, win a national championship there, right? And so he goes from that from there, he's able to say, okay, now we're going to go and play Division I ball. He played 4 years. 2 years at New Mexico State, 2 years at Vandy. Plus 2 years at New Mexico Military. That's 6 full years of college football. It essentially puts you in a position, like if you're the right, like Jason Brown was talking about this, that puts you in a great position if you're a player that, and even if you just think, okay, some of these guys, maybe they're on that, you know that you can look at them and say, man, they just need to be developed a little bit. They're not quite ready for us, but I don't want them to go anywhere else. So, and maybe their grades are good enough or whatever. Maybe you can keep them under the radar and you say, okay, we're going to send you to this guy because you've got a guy at a division, at a JUCO that you're able to like go stash them there. Hey, get this guy ready. This is what we want him to be. You know, he was talking about this, that he could do it for Belichick to turn a pipeline out to one of these coaches. And you could. It's what they do it with hoop all the time. They do it with hoop all the time. Why not? Why can't you do it there? You can. And especially if it doesn't hurt the player to go and do that. Now, it's going to hurt them NIL-wise probably. Maybe. Maybe not. Hutchinson Community College. Mm-hmm. San Francisco Community College. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's where, and he ended up going to Tech. Deshaun Sanders went to Tech during the Michael Crabtree years. He was there during that time. So I was covering him once he got there. In fact, he was Michael Crabtree's roommate. I think they're cousins. He's doing great now. I mean, he owns like it's a trucking company. It's like they haul sand in the oil field and shit. Fucking loaded, man. Doing great. Doing great. Great kid. I love that kid. Yeah. There's a lot of those dudes, bro. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I mean, I remember, I go back to like basketball, especially. Basketball's a different story, but like JUCO hoopers, man. Larry Johnson, I saw him play when he was at Odessa Junior College, at New Mexico Junior College in Hobbs, against Greg Brown, who won the Naismith for under six footers when he was at New Mexico. That dude was a bad dude. They had guys like Pete Lewis that played for Oklahoma at New Mexico Junior College. But I remember Grandmama was a bad dude, bro. Before he got to UNLV. Holy shit. And I mean, not for nothing, but he wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, man. He wasn't getting into no Division I college without that. And I mean, because when he got to UNLV, he didn't go to school. Shit. Alan Patrick, he was. Mm-hmm. He was. We hear these dollar NIL deals, but they are now spending even $40 million. The number of a big deal isn't very few big ones. Yeah, I think it's, well, what is big? I mean, what are you saying is big? I was a student at Pratt JUCO when Larry Johnson was at Odessa. They came to play in our holiday tournament. Rodney Dent was a center alongside. Yeah, that's right. Rodney Dent. I'd forgotten that name until you just said that, Neilio. I've forgotten that name. That shit, man. He was good too. They were nasty, bro. They were nasty. I remember New Mexico JC beat them. On Greg Brown made a 4-point play. They were up by 3, he hits a buzzer beater, or a 3-pointer, gets fouled, and then makes the free throw, and they beat him. And that was like the one time I think they beat him the whole time that Larry Johnson was there. But they had a nasty team. That Pete Lewis was one of them. He was with, like I said, he ended up going to Oklahoma. They had another kid that was there. Damn it, what was it? James Inman? I think he went to Clemson. The best OU tailback of all time? To me, it's Adrian Peterson. I don't even think it's close. But that being said, I don't know about. I shouldn't say it's not even close because, Billy Sims. You got DeMarco Murray was fantastic. DeMarco Murray was a difference maker. Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine got the best numbers. I don't think any of those guys are better than AD, but Billy might be. Billy might have been. I mean, Little Joe. People talk about Little Joe. Maybe it was him too. Billy Sims, Satterfield. I don't mind people saying Billy Sims. Billy Sims was Barry Sanders before Barry Sanders. That's true. I would agree with that. Yeah, had it not been for injuries, I mean, he went to Detroit and he was doing it. He was doing it there until he blew his knee up. Billy Sims is a bad dude, man. He was a bad dude. Marcus Dupree could have been. Absolutely. Marcus Dupree was unbelievable. I love it that for all the Oklahoma fans that give Marcus Dupree shit and that haven't listened to what Switzer said about him, that it was his fault. And it was his fault. I love the King as much as the next guy, but we got to be honest. He didn't handle that well. Marcus Dupree left because he felt like he was hurt and they were going to make him play anyway. That was a lot of it. Plus, he was getting pulled from a lot of directions, man. I mean, it was a tragic situation for Marcus Dupree. If today's knee surgeries were available back in Sims's day, he most likely would be an all-time great in NFL history. I would agree with that. And look, I'm going to say this again. I don't believe in saying that I don't want to do the judging on what they did in the NFL. I don't like doing that. So, I mean, I could say Billy Sims. I understand people making that argument. I still think it's AD. And AD was he's an all-time great in the NFL, without a doubt. He came off of his knee surgery that year and damn near broke the NFL record the very next year. That's freaky shit. You're not supposed to be able to do that. That's the kind of athlete he was. Unfucking real. But I watched that whole season where the last 8 games in a row that he had, it was 100 yards. He averaged, he had a 100-yard game at least the last 8 games. Most of those games, it was like 200 plus. He was unreal. He didn't start until week 4. Wasn't it week 4? I think. Pretty sure. Whew. Greg Pruitt, huh? Eddie Griffin. Holy shit, we're going deep. Mm-hmm. Billy was your favorite from the Lions back in the day? That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you listen to Legend talk about it, he's always talking about what's that guy? Zach? He's another one. Zach something. I forget. This is in the 70s. And then who was the other guy that he's always talking about? I wish Legend was in here. He'd be spitting them out. Yeah, AD's a top 5 NFL running back of all time. I mean, biasly, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know that he did enough. I don't know. Because I don't know that you put him above Emmitt Smith. I don't think you can. He's got the all-time rushing record, I don't think he's better than – I don't think Emmitt's better than Barry or better than Walter Payton or any of that. And I mean, but I don't think that AD is either. I don't think he had that career. Oh, dude, you ain't wrong. The AD high school shit, this was stupid. Stupid. Mike Gaddis, there's another one. Holy shit. Dude, Mike Gaddis was that guy. Yeah, he was that guy. No doubt. Good stuff. Great stuff there. That's unreal. What did Elio say? Yeah, he'd have been amazing if he had those knee surgeries in his day too. No doubt about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was Urban. I mean, listen, I'm an AD guy, so you've got my vote. He's the GOAT for me, right? I think it's crazy that we won't ever have, or we don't have a statue in I mean, it's a Heisman statue is what they have in Heisman Park, so we're never going to get one of those. He should still have a statue out there. AD should still have a statue out there, no doubt about it. I mean, so should the Boz. You've got the Selmans have got a statue out there. The Boz should have one out there too, without a doubt. Mm-hmm. Yeah. From the 70s, pull up the YouTube video, the OU Colorado game from the mid 70s. National team rushing record in any game ever for, look who was in the Sooner backfield and the running back sitting on the side. Okay. I'll have to look at it. Who are they? Just so, I mean, if I don't get to it right now, because I'm not. Okay, AD's definitely top 10. Yeah, I think it's hard to call him top 5 in the NFL history because there's just so many. I mean, shit. Eric Dickerson. I mean, damn. Because Eric Dickerson, I think that's your comp though for AD is Eric Dickerson. That's who I would comp him. I think he was the same type of dude. Wow. Unbelievable too. Teddy Lehman should be out there. Okay. Then Roy Williams too, right? Roy Williams is a Hall of Famer. Roy Williams too. Okay. I'm down with that. Absolutely. Kenyon Rashid. Oof. Bro, that was a long time ago. You guys do remember that? I mean, shit. I still remember a bunch of those dudes from the 85 team and stuff. You know, Legend had is it Mike White, the secondary guy? Well, was it Mike? He was the safety. Daryl White. What do I think? Yeah, I think that has something to do with it, Urban Engine. It does. That's where, and like, let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But that'd be where, okay, so the question that I put out there was, how can this be? Because let's wrap this all together and think about this for a second. If you're going to tell me it's because they're the best coach team, then they would have to be the best coach team ever. He's better than Saban. He's better than any of them. Because, I mean, there's great coaches that don't have, they have the number 70 roster in the country. That's not even the top half. It's not even the top half. But it's right in the same area as Tulane, who, they got beat by 5 touchdowns both times they played Ole Miss. So they had very similar rosters, right? They had a quarterback that had played at a Power 5 program just a year ago. He was a Power 5 quarterback coming into the BYU time too, as well. But Kansas, Lance Leipold, another one of the greatest coaches in the country. I think nobody would argue that he's one of the best coaches in the country. You're going to tell me that Cignetti would have gone to Tulane or to Kansas and they'd be this? I don't think so. So it can't just be that. And it can't just be that they've got so much experience. Because if you look at the blue chip ratio, and this is a guaranteed stat. There's only been 2 teams out of 26 years that they've been ranking players that the national champion didn't have 60% or more blue chip players. Only twice that didn't happen, and they were in the 50% range. I think Michigan was at like what, Dave, weren't they at like 53, 54%, something like that? And then I want to say Clemson was at like 56, 57%, something like that. So, I mean, it wasn't much below 60, but it was in the 50s. We're talking about a team at Indiana that has not quite 10% blue chip players on their team. I get it that they have an average age of 23. They've played a lot of football. They're ridiculously efficient. They do that, but they're not doing anything that's like reinventing the wheel that nobody knows how to like defend it or anything like that. I mean, we've seen back shoulder throws before. We've seen all that. They don't have anybody that makes you go, holy shit, on offense, including their quarterback. I mean, I think he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I think he's fantastic. A lot of things about him. I love him. I love watching him play. But I don't look at him and go, holy shit, that guy is an NFL Hall of Famer. I don't. So explain to me how this is happening. I don't know. I need to know. Give me your stuff in there now. Tell me what you think it could be. How is it really happening? Do you think that they're going to beat Miami next Monday? So, I mean, it's just a good question to ask. I don't know. And if you're watching later on, let me know what you think in the comments. I got to know. Could there be some kind of cheating going on? Do they have an AI model back there that's predicting exactly what? I mean, they've paid attention to their sideline stuff for long enough that they have an AI predictive model that's that on. It's possible. Do they have a time machine? I don't know. What is it? What could it be? It's got to be something, folks, because there's no way. He might be a very, very good coach. He might have very good coaches all the way down the line. He might have a bunch of guys that have played a lot of football, but he doesn't have enough talent to be wrecking the entirety of college football like this. To do all those things, it's wild to me. It's wild to me that you're doing all that. It is what it is, though. It was around, what was around the 2020 time? Listen, I'm not saying that they're not. Look, and here's the other thing. I'm going to say this. I get it that not all those guys were graded or whatever, and some of them may have been a hell of a lot better, right? Maybe they're a lot better. And we know that guys get better once they get to college and all that other shit. What are they now? I heard USCJ saying this yesterday on his show. Because he was talking about if they're doing it the right way. It's a good question to ask too. Are you doing it the right way if you're loading up on high school kids now, or should you just be working in the portal? I don't know how sustainable the portal really is, long term. But for now, you better be getting them. I don't know. It's coaching buy-in, all of it. He's won everywhere. But, brother, it's not the same thing as coming and doing what nobody has been able to do. You're telling me that if he went to Tulane or to Kansas, which is where he's close to as far as roster talent-wise is concerned, those guys are in your neighborhood for Indiana. So if he goes to Kansas or Tulane, they're doing the exact same thing that Indiana's doing right now? I don't know that I believe that. I don't know. I don't know. That's probably okay. You know what? This may be the winner right here. This is fair. That program doesn't have near the success against the Bama, Georgia, LSU teams of the 2010s. Okay. 2019 LSU, no. Yeah, no. I agree with that. Somebody asked that. I don't think that they have that same. I don't think that they have that same success against the aughts either. Oklahoma, Miami, USC. That Texas team that beat USC. Florida. It's tough to see it. It's tough to see it. I think he could at Kansas. I don't think so. I don't think so, brother. I just don't think so. They're pretty good. I don't think they're that good. But maybe. You could be right. I could be wrong. And here's what I'll tell you there. Here's what I'll say about this. No, I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm not. I just think I think it's a fair question to ask is how is this happening? Because guess what? If you are a fan of anybody else, and we all are, I don't know any Indiana fans. Neither do you. I know they've got a lot of alumni. I don't know Indiana fans per se on this show. But I'm asking, how does this happen? Right? Because out of all these years, and it's never happened before. And all of a sudden it's happening now. Is it just because of NIL? Is it because of you spread it so thin? Maybe that's the answer, what Neilio said. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's because you spread the talent so thin everywhere else. Except that if you look at the Final Four teams, even against them, it's not close in roster talent. It's not close. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I appreciate everybody coming in. Make sure you mash that like button if you haven't. Everybody that is in here has. I appreciate that very much. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you all on the next one.